got a visitor who's come all the way from Santa Monica, California, and it's a place very near and dear to my heart. There are three things great about Santa Monica, California. There's a fantastic boulevard, there's great surf, and there's an extraordinary political figure who I met 2 years ago at the Federal Green Party convention, Mr. Michael Feinstein, who, beyond having great hair for a politician, no, you've got good hair. Let's take a minute. That's really true. Michael was able to come into our group to the federal party at a time when Elizabeth May was the talk of the town, and not too many ladies didn't mind talking about you, sir. Mike's a very interesting guy. He co-founded. Why are you laughing? It's true. Mike is a very interesting guy, and I genuinely, I'm all joking aside, thrilled to have him here. In 1990, he co-founded the Green Party of California. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Mr. Feinstein was twice elected city council member of Santa Monica from '96 to 2004. He was a founding editor of the U.S. Green Party. He was an author and 16 weeks with the European Greens. A well-seasoned traveler you are. Well done. He was the co-host of Green Perspectives. It was a radio program on Pacific Radio Network. This is a guy who, without question, has dedicated himself to the realm of green politics. In '95, he co-negotiated a deal with two others. There was this guy, you might know him, his name was Ralph Nader. I don't know if anyone's heard of him. And they appeared in a GPCA march. What was it, in 1996? Primary. It was the primary. You participated and you supported Mr. Nader in the primary. Well, first of all, round of applause for that. That in itself is fantastic. He hosts the largest Green Party video site on YouTube in the world. And he is the host of the Global Greens website, which is, if you have a pen handy, it's globalgreens.org. And he's a member of the Global Greens Organizing Committee for the next Global Greens meeting in 2008 in a city that I know all too well, and I have too many wonderful memories of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I'd like to invite him to speak for just a few minutes about the world of Global Greens and his observations of being at our British Columbia Green Party annual general meeting, Mr. Michael Feinstein. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, everybody, for having me with your wonderful, wonderful gathering tonight. People are so nice. This is my third time in the last 2 years that I've been to Canadian Green, across Canada, Green meetings. And I think what I've been most impressed about is not just the fact that your percentages, generally speaking, have been going up on the federal level. We just saw in Ontario this past week, averaging 8% in 107 ridings, and incredible. But I think what I've seen now in 3 different trips is the fact that you are able to be professional, competent, and retain Green Party values. And that's something I think you should give yourself a big hand for. That's an impressive thing. If we can't do that, we have no business doing what we're doing, because obviously we have to live the politics. Now, as Christopher mentioned, I'm involved with the group doing the Global Greens meeting next year. And I want to just briefly touch on how that's happening, how you all can be involved, because it needs to be a global event of Greens from all over the planet. Our first global meeting was in June of 1992 in Rio de Janeiro in conjunction with the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. And we had there about 250 Greens from 28 countries. That was just a networking meeting. Throughout the 1990s, Green parties started to meet, started to talk. We did a couple of joint press releases around the world. Built up to 2001, and we had a meeting in Canberra, Australia, the capital of Australia. 72 countries were represented, about 800 Greens, and there we cobbled together the Global Green Charter, which your party participated in, gave us kind of defining document for where we stand all over the planet. And one of the things that's so interesting with these kind of meetings is you go and it's a virtual Green United Nations of people who are in your field all over the planet. And there's somebody from Georgia and India and every country that you can imagine sitting around a table with you. And although all the faces and the accents and the mannerisms may vary, it's remarkable on how it's a similar context and a similar approach. So indeed, it's really a validation of us being a global response as a species to problems that we all face, and it's really invigorating to do that sort of thing. So now we're looking to have our next global meeting, and what is going to be the point of this and how you should be involved. May 1st to 4th, 2008 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Part of the reason Sao Paulo was picked is that as a mega city and kind of emblematic of unsustainability, it's something that we have to deal with. And the theme of the meeting is going to be 21 points for the 21st century global Green Party response to climate change. We're going to try and say, if we are in government, if we are actually helping to run things around this planet, how would we really get to that 90% reduction by 2050 and all the other related dynamics that we have to do to address climate change? So globalgreens.org is our global website, and what we're going to be doing is a gentleman named Hugh Esco. Some of you may know Hugh. He's a Green who has lived with Kerry Dixon up in Nelson here at British Columbia. He's also a Green from Georgia in the United States, and he's worked out. He's a good guy. He's working with a global committee to design a feedback dynamic on our Global Greens website, where we're going to literally, just like you did with your federal program, Jim Harris explained to me a while ago that you did your federal program and really made it open to a lot of people to go ahead and participate on the web. In a couple of weeks, all of you, there's going to be a global email outreach where we're going to give you the links of where you can start posting. We'll have draft categories of those 21 points, but it's also going to be possible to feedback and change and shift those around. And we're going to try and take input between now and hopefully have then draft documents by February to then circulate to all of the national parties and have each national party look at it, give feedback, and then when we get to Brazil, have a document that we can approve. There'll be 3 delegates per national country that will be voting. Probably will be also the case where we'll have 3 alternates per country. Certainly, we're going to insist on gender balance minimum of, at least a man and a woman among the 3, and we're also going to try and push and have a young Green among the 3 and hit all those sort of targets that we want to do. When we send you this email, we're also, because obviously, as a party, we want global justice. Justice means participation of all of us as Greens. We believe in that instinctively. Those of us in the northern and western countries are going to need to step up and contribute so that Greens in the southern countries can afford to go. And we will have a web-based donation form for all of you to contribute to that as well, to make sure that that's going to happen. But we're also looking at having the meeting web-streamed, so that people don't have to fly. I know we had the discussion about flying and all of that, and while we will have a list of places for carbon offsets, fully acknowledge there's controversy around that, and we don't suggest that that's going to take the place of creating those emissions, but nevertheless, we're going to try and make it as inclusive as possible. And I would just suggest that if you have the opportunity to make such a trip, it is so invigorating for your local work to understand how frustrating it can be at times, but how much you're part of something that's so much bigger because it's a global phenomenon. And finally, just to link that back to what you're doing tonight, when we come out of that meeting, obviously the solutions that we're going to recommend have to deal with real life and real economies around the planet. And dealing with small businesses that actually incorporate green principles, that practice them. The fact that this is named E.F. Schumacher Award, so many of us, I think, who read Schumacher many years ago, had that start us out as Greens before we even knew that there was such a thing as a Green Party. Having the message coming out of Brazil, how we can realign our economic systems around green principles, I think is part of what you're actually doing tonight, and it's a nice interconnection of that. It just happens as fate, but hopefully fate's going to be in our favor as we deal with climate change, and I think that's why we all came here tonight. Thank you for having me.
Probably had too much wine, so I shouldn't attempt this, but I've been working on my Santa Monica Green Party accent. This is kind of totally like that, when you hear Michael, he talks about global greens and the economy, and if I could do a ponytail like you, I would be in Sao Paulo.